Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, a Pittsburgh Steelers podcast made by fans like you, for fans like you. Now, here's your host.
Hey everybody, my name is Brian Roach and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground video podcast. I am here today prepared with my Neurosonic, which I will take a drink of. Keep myself nice and alert. And I've added a neuro drink to my regimen called Neuro Bliss because I need to feel blissful after all of the incredible things that have been going on. This is white raspberry. I actually have I've tried both versions of Neuro Bliss. There might be a third now, but white raspberry and summer citrus berry, and I much prefer summer citrus berry, but it's very hard to find. So, white raspberry. It's been an interesting week so far. I'm not going to go heavily into the things that have happened, but I do want to note that we should say thank you to Greg Warren and wish him the best. Steelers, of course, released Greg Warren after 12 years this week. It makes a lot of sense now why we drafted a long snapper. And I don't think it's one of those, wow, look at them viewing into the future that this was going to happen. Let's be real. They knew that Greg Warren had a medical issue. They knew in advance that this was likely to occur. That is why they decided to draft a long snapper, not because they suspected. They knew this was going to happen down the road. Let's be realistic. It's not a surprise. Greg Warren's been around for 12 years. So he's had ACL issues. He's had other issues. And certainly if the doctors and the team, trainers and staff have told him that continuing or attempting to play this year would be detrimental to his long-term health, nobody wants that. Why? And certainly he doesn't. His wife and kids don't. So, we wish him well. And thank him for the time that he was here. He was a high-quality guy who hung around for a long time and played the game the right way. So that's great. On other news, of course, we also released Ladarius Green. And Ladarius failed his physical, or was at least released with a failed physical designation. And I'm not sure on this one that the Steelers were certain this is what was going to happen. Here's the thing, and Terry at Steel City Underground has done a great job of trying to inform you and us about the medical issues involved here. And the one thing that I came away with, because I won't pretend I paid that much attention because I get bored and feel like Homer Simpson and my eyes glaze over when I'm listening to medical information. But the thing I did come away with in this is that concussion stuff's hard to figure out. All right. First of all, there is no diagnosis for CTE, as far as I know, until after you have become deceased, when they can examine your brain. It's possible to, predict that you might have it, but it's difficult to actually diagnose early on. And the same is true of concussion stuff. I mean, look, concussions are hard to note. If there's something, and I'm going to say it wrong because I don't have Terry's article in front of me, something called recurring concussion syndrome, which is, I'm pretty sure, what Ladarius has. And there's a lot of reasons why maybe they didn't know that this was going to be an issue. And I think you can look at just the things Kevin Colbert was saying early on in the season and think the Steelers were hopeful that Ladarius Green was going to bounce back, and maybe he didn't. Now, I've also seen a lot of articles about where does Ladarius Green land next. Well, look, let's be honest. If you had the chance just for 1 year to make somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 million, which is really what Ladarius Green's single season cost the Steelers, $4.5 million in his signing bonus and another, I think, $1.5 million in salary. So it's like $6 million, right? Yeah, like I'm saying that, like, it's just $6 million. Well, I mean, look, if you had the opportunity to make $6 million in 1 year, that's a good amount of money. All right. I know lifestyles and everything, but you'd have to think Ladarius was aware of his issues to a certain extent and had to at least be considering the concept that retirement might be in his future. You know, it's that gladiator mentality, I guess. If you know, do you want to be in the arena until they have to drag you out? I think if I am anybody who can counsel Ladarius Green, I'd tell him, unless you get a completely clean bill of health and you think you're going to avoid concussions playing football for the rest of your life, you're not, more than likely, but hey, it might be time to hang up the cleats. I'm not sure there should be a landing spot for Ladarius other than his own sofa, you know, because you cannot bargain away your health. That's just the way I think. Now, you know, it's a bad signing for the Steelers. There's no question about it. I don't think it's the worst signing for the Steelers ever. My opinion, that's Mahan, the center that they signed. And the difference here is they at least had good talent evaluation on Ladarius Green. He was the guy they thought he was when he could play. He just couldn't stay healthy. I don't know that they could easily have discovered all his concussion issues. But be that as it may. Mahan stunk. He wasn't good. So the difference there is talent evaluation. That's why I rank the Mahan signing worse than this signing. It's still a bad beat. There's no question about it, and it's bad for the Steelers as well as for Ladarius Green. We could only hope that you know, he takes care of himself and moves on, and we thank him for the time he was here. That's why I need this bliss, because I need to feel better about it all. Now I'm all warm and fuzzy. I am warm. Let me tell you, to record this so that I'm not really hampered by extra noise, I have to turn my air conditioner off. And it's like 98 degrees here on the East Coast today. So I am sacrificing for you. I just want you to know that. Okay. Let me move on to the point of this episode, which is the window for the Steelers to win the Super Bowl. I've been reading many different prognosticators and opinioned individuals who are wondering how much longer do the Steelers have with a legitimate opportunity to win the Super Bowl. It's a good question. I think it revolves around a single individual, but let's break it down a little bit more than that. So, you know, Ben has given us probably what will become an annual drama until the day he finally retires, which is the annual Brett Favre am I retiring, am I not retiring saga. Yes, we all know Ben sometimes can be a little dramatic. He is not dislikeful, that's not even a word, but who cares, of the spotlight. And he likes to be wanted, right? Well, we do want him. We need you, Ben. Please hang around for a while. But he likes that. He likes to feel like he's needed. I'm here to tell you, you're needed. So I expect that at least over the next 3 years of Ben's contract, which is what he has left on it, on an annual basis, we're going to go through this is Ben coming back next year drama, and then at some point he will decide to come back next year. And I've said this all along, I think there's too much money sitting on the table, and unless something really bad happens, I need wood to knock on to avoid, oh, there we go, hopefully nothing bad happens. But unless something, you know, severe injury-wise happens to him, I think that we have the offensive line to keep him healthy. We have the weapons to give him a shot at a Super Bowl every year as long as he wants to play. So the window, in many cases, revolves around Ben. The day Ben decides to hang up those cleats is, I believe, pretty much the day that window closes. But it's not just Ben. So one of the things is that people are saying this is maybe the last year. Well, I don't think that's true at all, because again, Ben has 3 years left on his contract, and I expect that, you know, with a little drama, he will play those 3 years out. If that's the case, then you can close that window or expand that window, I guess, to a 3-year window instead of a single-year window, right? Because I think as long as Ben's playing, we have a shot. And if that remains the case, if we have a developing defense that continues to become good and maybe becomes even a dominant defense down the road, if we have the offensive firepower that we look like we're going to have, if Ben has a legitimate shot to win a Super Bowl every year he continues to play, even after those 3 years, who's to say he won't decide to hang around for a couple more seasons? It's a tough call. I'm not going to live past the 3 years. I'm going to say we got 3-year window. So but I think the things that could change that in Ben's mind, he has stated at some point in his life, at least more than one occasion, and I know that even though, he probably won't say this anymore, he would really like to be a 5-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. He would like to be the guy in Pittsburgh who has won more Super Bowls than any other quarterback. Considering the way Bradshaw has involved himself with the team, the way that he has treated Ben at various times throughout his career, not necessarily undeservedly at times, but still, I know it would be a feather in Ben's cap, and I know he would like it if he could retire saying, I won more Super Bowls than any other quarterback in Steelers history. He's going to have every other record, so why not that one? In order to do that, right now he has 2. He would need 3 more. And he can get them. It's just, it's hard to win back to back to back, and nobody's ever done it. So it's hard enough just to win back to back. But let's say that he's got 2 more, and there's a legitimate shot that they can win a 3rd. That might convince him to come back 1 more year after his contract is over and sign a single-year contract, or even an extension that he knows he's never going to play out. All right. But I'm going to stick with 3 years. 3, maybe 4. I'm hedging my bet. Right. 3, maybe 4 years. If Ben retires after 4 years, well, Marquise Pouncey has said he's going to retire the day Ben leaves. And while that may or may not be true, let's take the guy at his word, because I'll be honest with you, if I'm a all-pro center, which he is, and I have spent my entire career with a Hall of Fame quarterback, do I really want to spend my last days with a non-Hall of Fame quarterback? Probably not. I think it's very likely that Pouncey could ride off into the sunset when Ben retires, and it may not just be him, but we'll see. Overall, though, the team is pretty young. Okay, the defense is certainly young. I mean, you've got Debo, of course, James Harrison. He's the old man of the group, but beyond that, that's a young group. When Cameron Hayward and Mike Mitchell are probably the 2 oldest guys on that defense, it's a young defense. It's going to continue to get better. You've got a potential all-pro linebacker in Ryan Shazier, who, if he can stay on the field, which he was able to do for the vast majority of last year, can be a game-changing talent. He's good. He's better than good. He is a legitimate successor to Steelers linebackers of old. Stephon Tuitt is growing and continuing, and hopefully will continue to expand his abilities. Javon Hargrave, I think, can improve. Certainly, Bud Dupree can improve and has been on the upswing. And then you've got Artie Burns and Sean Davis. I mean, I'm telling you, this defense is starting to become stocked even before you add in Cam Sutton and potentially Brian Allen and T.J. Watt and whoever we're going to draft next year, because I think we'll go defense again next year. I'm just saying. But be that as it may, so the defensive side of the ball is very young. We've got a lot of potential for length there, but that means we've got to lock these guys in, right? And in order to do that, which is difficult to do, contracts are contracts. People are going to want to get paid. They want the money, and salary cap is a salary cap. There's only so much room. But I think if they can get Tuitt done, if they can get Shazier done, a couple more years, then they can get Dupree done, and then they'll be ready to get Watt done, and Artie and Sean. It can work out, and we could have a solid, nasty defense for a good long time. Not a little period of time, but a good long time. But on the offensive side, obviously we talked about Ben, but you also have to look at Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell's on the franchise tag right now. I don't know whether they're going to re-sign Le'Veon Bell to a long-term deal. Do I think they should? Probably. If they can lock him up, he is, in my mind, the best running back in the NFL. He's certainly the most versatile running back in the NFL. But I think, just generally speaking, he's the best running back in the NFL. And that, despite all the Zeke lovers out there, I'm sorry, Zeke's dead to me. He's dead to me. As soon as he put on the shiny pants, he became dead to me. Being a Buckeye fan, he used to not be dead to me, but now he's dead to me. So, okay. But Le'Veon is really good, right? He's a fantastic addition to the offense. You could say in many ways he makes the offense go. And I want to talk about that at another time and expand on that, maybe even in an article, I don't know, about why last year was so focused on Le'Veon. But there's more to it than that. And but yes, he was a big key, and he will remain a key in the offense. Martavis should be back. And Martavis, from whatever sources you want to get from, I read a lot of what stuff on the Steelers websites. I read a lot of what is being reported, like on Steelers Wire and a couple other places. I try to stick to the beat writers who actually know the team and have a chance to get contact directly with the team. But from what you can find out and read, Martavis appears to have a different attitude. The man is in shape, no question about it. I think, and I've said this multiple times, I think that Martavis could blow up this year, literally blow up, and it could be a frightening season for both Martavis and AB, along with Ben. We're talking potential history-making offensive seasons. We got Martavis for 2 more years. We have Le'Veon Bell on right now, essentially a year. If we can lock both those guys up, and I don't know if we can do it, but if we can lock them up for any duration, that helps our offense, and our offense will complement our defense, and we're going to improve. Okay. But at some point, they have to make a decision on Le'Veon. If he can't work out a long-term deal, if Le'Veon wants to be paid some absurd amount of money that they're not going to pay him, do they franchise him again next year? Maybe. After that, what do? I guess it's say goodbye, right? So, let's say that Le'Veon is gone in 2 or 3 years. Well, if that's the case, it just fuels into that same thing. Do I think Le'Veon leaving closes the Super Bowl window? Nope. As long as Ben's there, I don't think so. You lose Le'Veon and Martavis, then you got a different situation, okay? Because Ben and just AB, great, not the same level of great. They need more weapons than that. Right now we got them. Okay. So you've got the potential to lose some offensive pieces down the road. You've got the potential for Ben to retire. That's the side of the ball that we have to worry about. I still think we've got a 2 or 3 year window. Okay. After Ben retires, what is it like? Well, let's say we've locked everybody else in. Let's say we've still got AB. Martavis is young. Let's say we've got Martavis. Let's say we've got Le'Veon Bell. Ben retires. Well, now we could probably, if we go along with what we're talking about, we need a new center. We need a new quarterback. That's not going to be an easy draft. When should they start drafting a quarterback? I know we drafted Josh Dobbs. I get it. And I have nothing but love for Josh Dobbs, okay? I hope Josh Dobbs turns into Dak Prescott in the sense that what everybody thinks Dak Prescott is. I've said this 100 times. I will say it 100 more times until Dak Prescott has 5 years under his belt. 1 year does not a superstar quarterback, franchise quarterback make. Just ask the guy that used to be the quarterback in Philly, whose name I cannot remember, who went to the Rams and then went someplace else, and now I don't even know if he's in the league anymore. But if I could think of his name, I'll say it, but I probably won't because I don't care. It's the Eagles. But he had a great 1 year. 1 year. That was it. I don't know whether Dak Prescott's going to be a great quarterback down the road. Just like I don't know if Joshua Dobbs is going to be a great quarterback down the road. I have said repeatedly in the back rooms of SCU that Joshua Dobbs will be a good backup quarterback and maybe has starter potential. Starter potential means I can spot start and I'm not going to embarrass you. It doesn't mean you're a franchise quarterback. I don't believe Joshua Dobbs is a franchise quarterback. I hope I'm wrong. Look, I hope I'm wrong. I just don't see it. But we'll see. The point is, when Ben retires, if Josh Dobbs is our guy, right, that's great. But we're back in the days then of Mark Malone, of Bubby Brister, of not so much Cordell, but in that kind of a situation where Kent Graham, man, think about all the quarterbacks we went through in between Terry and Ben. It's going to be like that. They need to figure it out. So I said before the draft I wouldn't have drafted a quarterback this year. I still believe I wouldn't have drafted a quarterback. They decided to draft Dobbs. I'm fine with it. They know better than me. I'm not going to question their decision. I will maintain that I wouldn't have done it. Next year, I would start to think about it. And as time goes on, you need to consider it. I think from this next year, maybe not so much now that they drafted Josh Dobbs, but within the next couple years, they should be looking at quarterbacks every year at this point. And if there is the right quality, go ahead and take a stab. Here's the thing. It's hard to find a franchise quarterback even in the first round. We've gone over this ad nauseum. Even in the first round, it's tough to find a franchise quarterback, Ryan Leaf. So finding them late is a lot harder. There are not as many Tom Brady's and maybe Dak Prescott's as there are, guys who aren't any good and don't make it and don't become starters or franchise level quarterbacks. You're lucky to find a journeyman quarterback, a backup quarterback in those later rounds. So that means in order for us to find another franchise quarterback, we're probably going to have to stink, have a bad year. Probably going to have to happen. I know that's horrible, but it's probably what will have to happen. And the thing is, our defense is going to be so good, I think, as we knit these pieces together, we might have consistent non-losing seasons. And consistent non-losing seasons will likely put us in a position where in order for us to get a franchise quarterback, we're going to have to make a move in the draft. Just the way I think it's going to fall. I don't want to have a 1 and blank season. I don't want to get to the point where we are the worst team in the league and have the first pick. Neither do you. We all know that. But it may take a losing season or at least a very bad season and some trades to get us another quarterback once Ben's gone. So again, how much longer will Ben play? That's I think the primary question. How much longer will Ben play? Just thinking about that, I need some more bliss. If Ben plays 4 years, then I think our window's 4 years. If Ben plays 3 years, I think our window's 3 years. And I think once that window closes, it's going to stay shut for a while. We might get into the playoffs on an annual basis. We might even make a Super Bowl. But I think it's a potential Dallas Steelers type Super Bowl where we have he who shall not be named playing quarterback and throwing the game away. Because I don't think we're going to have a franchise quarterback that quickly. Hopefully I'm wrong. That's I think the bottom line. When Ben leaves, when Ben walks out the door, I think the window closes, and I think it closes hard. But until then, I think we have 2, 3, maybe even 4 years of solid potential, legitimate shots at winning another Super Bowl. And I absolutely think that Ben is going to be motivated. If he can get one more, then he's at 3. Now he's only 1 away from tying Bradshaw, right? If he gets 2 more, he's tied, and now he just needs 1 to get ahead of Bradshaw. It seems ludicrous, all right? Teams don't win multiple Super Bowls over and over and over again. The Steelers went from, 5-6 years in between, 1 and 20 odd years in between Super Bowls. But yes, they did have a period before free agency when we won 4 in a very relatively short time. That just doesn't really happen anymore. The Patriots have been competitive with Brady for the whole time. But look, I'm telling you, when Tom Brady goes, ain't going to be the same team. Don't care. Don't care about Bill Belichick being the wizard of all wizards. It ain't going to be the same team. And that roller coaster ride is going to be over. Or at least potentially paused until they can find the right guy to run that team. So if we have 4 more years of potential Super Bowls, let's enjoy them, right? Let's enjoy them. I think this year coming up, we have an absolute legitimate shot. I think the window is probably as wide open this year as it's going to be over the next 3 or 4 years. I'm not a big win one for the Gipper guy, but the guys are going to be, to a certain extent, fired up for Dan Rooney. There's no question in my mind that that's going to play into the season. And if that does, if it helps, great. You've got Cam Hayward coming back, which is a huge. It's Nathaniel did yes, I'm calling you Nathaniel Bodner. He did a great film room piece on Cam Hayward. You should check it out on the site on Steel City Underground. Great film piece on Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward is the heart and soul, and I've said this before, the heart and soul of the defense. And his return will do more to improve that defense than I think any of us can contemplate right now or can imagine. Shazier is going to be better again next year. Sean Davis in his second year is going to be much better. You watch how well Sean Davis plays this year. I'm predicting all pro, or not, maybe not all pro. I'm not crazy, but a potential Pro Bowl level of play out of Sean Davis. Artie's going to be better. How much better, I don't know, but he's going to be better. And we'll see what the rookies do. I tend to agree with Joe Kuzma, who published a piece on Steel City Underground basically saying that don't expect a whole lot from the rookies. I don't. I'll be honest. If they are up to snuff by the end of the year, we're ahead of the game. Game one out of the breach, don't expect these guys to come blowing the doors off. They're not going to. They need learning. They need time to learn and adjust and adapt. And I think it'll be great. I think we have a lot of guys with huge potential. I think we even have a couple guys that we picked up either as UDFAs, undrafted free agents, or guys who made the team off of mini training camp, specifically Faison Odom. He's raw guy, but man, that's a big tight end. 6'8". 6'8's big. He's got some speed. If you want, I'm going to be doing an interview with him, and we'll be posting that on the site, and we'll talk about it. But you look at his numbers that he put up at his pro day, and they are comparable to the top tight ends that went. The difference is, of course, level of competition because he played at Fordham. But I'm getting off topic here. We have the tools that we need to win. They're there right now. So the window is wide open right now. We just have to get through it. And yeah, that probably means beating the Patriots. It will behoove us to make sure we have to play the Patriots in Pittsburgh, not in New England, in the playoffs. If we can manage that, that's all the better. So it's time for the Steelers to really focus, and I think they will be very focused this year. I think we've got a lot to look forward to, and the good news is, as I said, I think the window is as wide open as it's going to be right now, and hopefully we're looking at a very special season in 2017-18. So that does it for us for now. Until next time, as Joe Kuzma would like to say, be good and be safe, and we will see you later. Let me get my neuro real quick before I sign off. The bliss. Peace.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.